My name is Anya Aleman, Innovation Director here at Ascender. Ascender is Pittsburgh's community for entrepreneurs. We provide educational programming. We provide access to mentors, to experts, a collaborative workspace located in Pittsburgh, bootcamp, and also an incubator program, which we are currently recruiting for right now. So I want to take a moment to really encourage you to check out our website, because we have open applications for our incubation program. This is a 1-year long program where we provide you with up to $12,000 in business services, up to $5,000 in direct funding, and most importantly, a community where you can belong, be an entrepreneur, and a supportive community that wants you to succeed and propel you forward. So, again, the link is on the chat box for you to access. And if you have any questions, we have open office hours tomorrow from 3 to 5:30, and we'll be there ready to answer any questions in regards to the program or an application if you already started your application. So today's event is part of our educational series, and it's a new month. It's March, so every month we have a different theme, and this month theme is Branding Hero. So this month we're going to cover digital media content creation, marketing, how to brand yourself and your company, how to think about metrics, what the success looks like, and ways to become a branding hero for your business. Anyone nowadays can have, some sort of online visibility just because you have a phone, so you can just access all kinds of platforms. But we believe that the ones that are successful are the ones that really take their values and their purpose in every aspect of their marketing messaging. So we are very excited today to have our speaker, Jordon Rooney. Jordon is the CEO and founder of Build Different and NFBD. NFBD stands for Never Fear of Being Different. This is also a really great space because Jordon and through NFBD, they went through the incubation program here at Ascender as well. So not only is he, like a marketing and branding genius, but he's also an alumni of Ascender's network. And if you haven't seen his work, you definitely, you're in for a great hour of learning, but also save a couple of minutes to check out his work. And we can also definitely, if you haven't checked out Ascender's promo video that we launched last year, Jordon and his team were the masterminds behind it. So we're really happy to have him here. So without further ado, I'm gonna pass it on to Jordon. Jordon, if you can just spend a couple of minutes introducing yourself, telling us about a little bit more about your background, and getting us to understand how do we dare to do things differently and get to an authentic brand.
Cool. Thanks, Anya. I do one of these a year for Ascender, and I look forward to to doing it. I think the main reason why for me is because Ascender honestly is changed my life. I went from not knowing anyone that owned a business. I had no real connections. I didn't know anyone who was doing what I was doing. And Ascender really was it was a community of people who wanted to help me, which I didn't even know existed. So I'm always there to do anything for Ascender. And basically my journey here to where I am today, it started out with a nonprofit route. I was a school speaker. I had issues with depression, anxiety. I had really bad concussions, and I wanted to talk about it. And this was about 6-7 years ago when Vine was becoming a thing. And my goal wasn't to have in-person programming. My goal was to be able to build a digital platform, to be able to create community. Because what I realized was at the time, everyone was viewing the internet as a bad place. I talked with corporations and nonprofits and everybody else, and this is a risk. People are doing these prank videos, people are fighting, the internet's terrible. And what I realized was it offered accessibility. I learned everything I could from the internet. And if we could use it in the right way, it could be a very powerful tool. So I started as a school speaker, and my goal was to build and couple my speaking appearances with an online presence. and grew to 140,000 followers, 20 million video views. But I wasn't trying to be an influencer. Like my goal was I want to build a business. I just didn't know anything about it. And that's where Ascender really came in and helped me to figure out what it was. And it ended up being two things. NFBD has now turned into a nonprofit, which is a social media marketing agency run by high school students. So we essentially take all of some of the marketing money that foundations put out there for nonprofits, we consolidate it and pay inner city high school students in Pittsburgh to run marketing campaigns for nonprofits. And then with that, I realized that social media wasn't something that you needed a marketing degree for. I started getting agencies bringing me in to consult, and I was like, wait, what do I know? I don't have my marketing degree. Then I realized agencies don't have this figured out. Marketing has changed drastically. It's less about theory and what you learned. It's more about how can you influence, how can you relate to people, how can you develop unique connections. So from there, that allowed me to start consulting, work with a big law firm, directed multiple TV commercials. And really, like for me, it was, I never imagined that I would be in this world. Like I didn't know any business owners. I was super broke. I was working a job for Empire Today selling carpet and flooring. It was the worst job in the world. I had carpet samples in my back seat at all times. I could never even like pick more than one person up if they needed a ride. And I was working 75 hours a week. I would come home and I would study video editing. I would study graphic design. I would reach out to people for me to speak at their schools. And, what happened was it's just all of that together build momentum. And it allowed me to start my own creative agency. And things are going really well at the moment. So my goal with this isn't just like, hey, let me teach people marketing. Like my goal was to teach you that you can do literally anything you want as long as you know how to use the internet in the right way. And that is really like what I've learned to do is like, here's how I can learn anything I want just by using the internet in the right way. Here's how I can have access, how I can have influence, how I can develop resources. So I'm going to share my screen. Feel free to interject at any time with questions. Sorry. Okay. So building an authentic brand in 2021, authentic digital brand in 2021 and beyond. If you're not being authentic right now with your brand, you have to realize that like you're going to be found out. Like when I meet with companies and they're like, what tactics can I use to grow my social media? I'm like, there aren't any. Tactics aren't going to sustain. Like, sure, I can do some clickbaity type things and help you to grow. But guess what? That audience is going to leave because the internet is no longer this new thing where people are like, oh, what is this? I don't understand. Oh, clickbait. Oh, you got me. I don't understand this. People know when it's clickbait. People know when it's fake. People know when you're being inauthentic. You cannot just get by pretending to be something you're not. And what you're seeing with a lot of major corporations now is you can't fake being woke. You can't fake being socially aware. You will get called out. If your CEO, if your board, whoever isn't living out the messages that they're putting out to the world, people will call them out. And so whenever I work with a brand, I meet with them and get to know them first, because for me, what do I look like putting out a branding campaign that's fraudulent compared to the company culture? You have to be authentic if you want to win. I know a lot of people throw out like, oh yeah, I have an authentic brand, but there's different levels to it. And if you're not willing to like put yourself out there, go outside your comfort zone, be truly vulnerable as a brand, that's not authenticity. That's someone who's faking authenticity. Just some of the clients, my creative agency this past year, so we work with Giant Eagle right now, oversee all the digital assets for the Pittsburgh region brand. We've worked with Fifth Season, Pittsburgh's Innovation District, helped Ascender with their refresh of their brand, which Anya, Ben do an amazing job every day. Like just, it's crazy on top of everything else, like putting out all this content, looks really good all the time, makes me happy. And then we started helping to build an alcohol brand from scratch, where if you're in marketing, like an alcohol, I don't even drink, but an alcohol brand is what you want, because you can create any type of personality you want. You can be risky, you can do whatever. Alcohol brands are great to work with. This is now 7, so we won 7 international creative awards. I haven't updated it yet over the past year. So more coming in now. And it's really just been through digital content. So how do we create content that wins attention. So when we look at building a digital brand, I really view it as there's three main aspects to it. It's having strong brand positioning, being able to serve as a media entity, and then being able to use data to your advantage. Whenever I go on to work with a company, like I take them through some of this process because I need them to be 100% on the same page as me as what it takes to build a brand. Too often, companies think marketing is going to fix sales. It's not the truth. It's not going to work. Marketing is what comes in and builds a strong foundation and brand that helps enable sales. But ultimately, you have to take time with your brand because it's building relationships. It takes time to build relationships with your audience. So let's look at what brand positioning is. This is mainly like everyone I see on LinkedIn, everyone who's trying to like put out content on LinkedIn or a lot of other platforms. Everything's just the same. They just dress up the same content and it's just a different face. If you don't have a point of differentiation, no one's paying attention to you. It does not matter how good your product or service is if no one's paying attention to it. Attention is more competitive than it's ever been. Your number one goal as a brand is, how do I win attention? What do I need to do in 3 seconds or less to win someone's attention? Because it doesn't matter how good your product is if no one knows it exists or if no one's paying attention to it. There's more brands, apps out there than ever. Everyone's coming to me, hey, Jordan, I got this new app idea. I'm like, did you Google it? No. All right, Google it because it exists. Hey, I got this great idea for this brand. Cool. Did you look on Instagram? There's 10 other brands like that. The phrase that I use whenever I look at marketing is different is better than better. Because most people don't know why this one's better than this one if they never get to try the product or service. But what they will know is that feels different. And when you look at like the Airbnbs of the world and these other ones, they've truly been able to become category kings by operating in their own space. It's a really good book called Play Bigger that the guys at Fifth Season actually recommended for me to read. And it talks about becoming a category king. And they're one of the only companies that have like a chief category officer because they want to like be their own category. They want to be in their own lane pretty much. With this, and this is always a tough conversation to have with founders and CEOs, is you cannot be all things to all people. You have to identify directly with your audience. Because if you are all things to all people, you will be loved by no one. It's just like the person that's just nice and they're just there, okay? You're never gonna hate them, but you're never gonna love them. And this isn't me like being like super critical of nice people, but like there's the people who show their personality, who put themselves out there, and it's like, cool, like I love that person. And other people are like, I can't stand that person. Well, there's a lot of brands that just kind of sit in the middle and they're like, here we are, here's what we did today. Check out our product and service. Here's our team. We're doing another team bio. We're doing another team feature. We're doing another this. We're selling, it's National Cats Day. Oh, it's National Clean Your Fridge Day. Like that's what so many brands do. And it's so incredibly boring. They're just not like, they just don't want to put themselves out there enough to be judged. But what happens is you are not giving anyone a chance to love you. The other element of this too is know how your audience will describe you. If I were to poll your audience and there would be 10 different reactions of how they would describe you, you haven't done a good job of refining your brand positioning. You're all over the place. It needs to be super specific. So how do you grow? So this is the aspect that people ask me, like, Jordan, if I'm super specific, how do I grow my brand? Well, it looks like this. I'll use Peloton as an example for this. So you start here at the top and you go after your target community. So like Peloton went after like yoga moms in the beginning. It's like, here's what we want. Like we're going after like rich white moms. Like this is what we want. We want people to like own a Peloton and think they're better than people because like I have a Peloton and you don't. And that's really what it was. And then you know what happened is those yoga moms, well, they're also in PTA. They're the team mom on their kids soccer team. They're in a Facebook embroidery group, whatever. So then, these people are like, I have a Peloton, you don't. And then they went to the other people who were like, they're interconnected communities and like, hey, you got to check out this Peloton. And then what happens is they speak to their interconnected communities. Now their husbands are using it. Their husbands are going to their fantasy football drafts. They're like, hey, guess what? I worked out. You should check out my trainer. Like, this was amazing. I love my Peloton. And then their friends go to their whatever, and they go softball practice. And then now everyone's like, I want a Peloton. That's how you go from a super niche market to the general market. But what happens is no one ever gets their target community, because right away they're like, here's our product, it's for everybody. And everyone's like, well, I don't want it if it's for everybody. I only want what's for me. I want something that's exclusive, that feels special for me. And then what happens is you build up so much fear of missing out. You build up so much hype and momentum that eventually people are like, wait, I saw they have that. Why don't I have that? And then it happens with more and more people. And then you create this effect where people are like, all right, well, I don't want to be the last one without it. When you look at the thread throughout this, though, it's that brand positioning. Because when this target community is communicating it with their interconnected community, they are saying the same thing. They aren't saying this about a brand, and then they're saying this about a brand. Too many brands try and communicate so many things that it just becomes confusing. Double down on who you are, simplify it, and then beat people over the head with that message. Just keep saying it to them. Keep telling them who you are, who you're for, and what you do. And what happens is the people who love it are going to be like, awesome, great, I love this. And the people who hate it be like, all right, I hate it. But it's better than people who are like, all right, I'm just not interested in this. You kind of have to not sit in the middle in order to win attention, in order to have an audience connect with you. And I always use this example. Branding in a lot of ways is like dating. Like, you don't want the boyfriend or girlfriend that is like just the same way with everybody. Like, you want the one who's like, all right, when I'm with them, like, I feel special. I feel special. I feel wanted. I feel needed. That's what you want from your brand. You want to connect with the brand. It's like, they get me. They get me more than other brands do. You have to create that effect. So here's some brands that do a good job at it. Judy is one of my favorite e-commerce brands. Why? Because they offer emergency kits, emergency preparedness kits. They've figured out how to make them cool. And this is a very niche audience for people who are worried about tornadoes or hurricanes or aliens abducting them, whatever. Like, it's people who are like, need to be super prepared. And Judy doubles down and identifies with that audience. And what they've done now is they've gotten the celebrities who are like, well, I need to be prepared. Now they're shouting it out and they love Judy. Elevest, look at their brand positioning. Look how obvious their brand positioning is. They're a financial company for women, by women. It's not for me. It's for women, it's by women. And they weren't afraid to double down on that. And then when you look at their social media page, they're making fun of men. And it's funny. And men are probably like, oh, I hate this. That's not funny. Women aren't funny. But the women are like, this is funny. I love this. This is my audience. They double down on who their audience is. You can't be afraid to be yourself and identify directly with your audience. And the final example I'm using was because I was part of coming up with it, is Ascender. And Ascender's done an amazing job now of like really defining and like owning that brand positioning. It's Pittsburgh's community for entrepreneurs. Others have come out and said like, well, we're a community for entrepreneurs. Yeah, but you didn't say you're Pittsburgh's community for entrepreneurs. We did, and we own it, and we live it every day, and we put out content that shows we're Pittsburgh's community for entrepreneurs. So if you're an entrepreneur in Pittsburgh, where would you want to go? You would want to go to the place that's Pittsburgh's community for entrepreneurs. So, but Ascender has taken a risk because they had people in their office space before who weren't entrepreneurs. But after talking with the team, you know what they said? We just want to help entrepreneurs. That's why Ascender exists. We believe in entrepreneurs. You have to be able to take that stance. Second element of building an effective digital brand, you have to become a media entity. No one is following you to do you a favor. And I'm sure people are, but the general audience that you want to build in order to have an effective brand, they're not like, yeah, I don't love this content. It's not real interesting, but like, they probably need me to follow them. So let me just do them a favor. That doesn't happen. You have to somehow serve as a media entity. This is what too many brands do. They have small talk that's like essentially like the weather. Like, I cannot stand when people talk to me about the weather. It's like, I was outside too. We don't need to talk about the weather. I can click on my app. I can see how hot it is outside. We don't need to talk about the weather. Like, let's have a meaningful conversation. This is what a lot of brands do, is they just have small talk conversations where it's like, here's what our team did today. Here's what we did yesterday. Look at our product. Look how interesting our product is. It's like, that's boring. I'm not getting anything out of that. If we're looking at the comparison, like social media is the new TV, would I ever choose to watch a TV show where just like a person just talks about themselves the whole time, or a company just talks? No, it doesn't work. You cannot have small talk and expect to win attention with your audience and keep attention, because essentially what you're doing is you're being self-serving. And here's what happens a lot, and you'll see this especially on LinkedIn. People will try and disguise like they're trying to like give value, but at the end, there's always an ask. There's always something, it always ties back to them wanting something from you. When you just unequivocally just are unselfish and you say to your audience, I want to give to you, I want to provide for you, I want to be there for you. What happens is it's a one-sided relationship that they start to appreciate you as a brand, and they're like, cool, well, I want to give you my attention. Like, you're giving all this to me, like I want to support you. I want to be a part of what you do, because you are giving to me. And all these other brands out here, they're just trying to sell me. Every brand is trying to sell. The worst way to ever generate a sale on social media is to sell. People's natural reaction on social media when they're told what to do is to do the opposite. I'm never like, oh, this brand wants me to buy this $40 shirt. Yeah, I better buy it. No, I want to see why it's so cool to wear that shirt, why I would look good in it, why everybody else is buying it. That's what's going to make me want to buy it. When all you ever focus on is selling and the product, people are only ever going to focus on the price. It's called human-centric marketing. Do not focus on your product. Product-centric marketing is how you don't win any attention, you don't develop any connection. Focus on the humans who are using your product or service. Because when you really look at it, when you look at an Instagram page, imagine I'm trying to sell you this phone case, and all my posts are just about this phone case. Why would you want to follow that? Why would you follow that? Why would you ever want to follow that? But instead, imagine if the posts were like how easy my life is because I never have to have a wallet again. And I drop my phone all the time. There's ledges on it. My phone never breaks. Here's all the cool things I do all day with my phone case. And here's me on the phone with an important client. Look how cool my phone case looks, but it's more about me and what I'm able to do with the phone case. Like, that is how you have to look at marketing. It's not about the product or service, because that still comes off like, all right, they're trying to sell me. And then when you know the value you have to offer, define your voice and stick to it. Don't change. Don't try and be something that you're not. And never just post to post. If you're just throwing something up there, just know that's like you just had a wasted conversation. You have like 6 chances, probably less, to really develop a relationship with your audience. So imagine taking one of those chances and it's just something meaningless. Any meaningless brand experience hurts you more than the good brand experiences help you. So don't just post something to post. Treat every single interaction as, my audience is going to judge me by this. Because then it shows that you value them. You're investing in your content because you want them to be able to enjoy what you do. Here's some brands that I really like that serve as media entities. So The Hustle is like, they exist as a media entity. When you look at The Hustle and The Morning Brew and The Skim and all of those, they serve as media entities. Baboon to the Moon is one of my favorite aesthetic brands. They do a great job of showcasing their product, but making it an enjoyable experience for me. I love sharing their content. Now they do candles. Now they do collabs with other brands. And then Gymshark's another good example. During the pandemic, Gymshark turned into a free workout app and Instagram page. They would not try and sell you their clothes. They would instead say, we're going to give you a bunch of free workouts. But you know what people did? They're like, well, I want to look good in these workouts, so I'm going to buy Gymshark's clothes. If Gymshark would have tried to sell the clothes, people weren't just going to buy them. They added value, and people wanted to reward them because of it, because it was a brand that they believed in. When we look at what's a posting strategy look like? My big belief is momentum changes behavior. So we always work 1 to 2 months ahead when it comes to our content, and we'll do a breakdown, something like this. So if I'm in, let's say it's November and I'm planning for January. So in November, I would do 3 blogs. I'd do a client case study, tips on building a brand, tips on content creation. I would do a quick hitter, like 1 to 3 sentences on branding. I'd take something maybe that happened that day, talk about social media, talk about personal brands, do a graphic with a client, graphic of us at our office, graphic with us on a shoot, video on brand building, client recap video, video on us meeting with our interns, a photo, me at the desk, us on a shoot, me in a meeting, resharing 3 of our clients. Here's 3 that we quote retweet. You can get 20 to 30 high impact touch points a month just by batching your content. And then from there, anything that you need that you're like, hey, I need to get this out right away, it's a lot easier to do because all of your time for that month, it's already been spent months before creating that content. So if you batch your content before, it helps a lot. You create essentially pillars and themes like this, and it helps you get 20 to 30 unique touch points. It's always important for me to understand like the life cycle of a brand. So when you look at, what you want to build, just know it takes time. If you're not going to dedicate at least a year to it, just know you didn't give yourself enough of a chance to see if it would work or not. Too many people give up after 2 or 3 months. And what happens is people are just waiting for you to stop. Even if you put out 3 pieces of good content, people see you and they're like, I'm not following them yet. Everyone can just put out 2 or 3 good pieces of content. But once they see 30 to 40 to 50, they're like, all right, this person isn't going anywhere. So much of people following you and engaging with you has nothing to do with how good your content is. It's more of them not wanting to miss out when you grow. And if it seems like you're really going at it, like you're working hard at it, people will reward that by wanting to follow you. What happens too often is people build superficial brands. They do things for cheap clicks, for attention. They see maybe instant results. Then they need to always find ways to continue to get this attention. You need to showcase material things. You need to use clickbait, whatever. Then you always need to live up to that expectation, which is exhausting. When you're building an authentic brand, to think about what you have to offer. Really think about it. What are your friends, if you're building a personal brand, what do your friends come to you for advice on? If you're building a company brand, what good can your product or service do? How can it really help people? Then serve them. Focus on serving 100 people. Like your goal is reach 100 people, nothing more, and say, hey, these 100 people, I'm going to be the best brand you follow. I'm going to be your brand. And then what happens is they all tell 1 to 5 people. And 100 turns into 300 to 500, and you have unique connections with them. But it's going to take 6 months. Then it's going to take another 6 months to get to 1,000. Then what happens is, then you start to really build momentum because you have unique, impactful connections with your audience. Your brand grows through digital word of mouth, not just by going viral. And that's what allows you to become sustainable and marketable. You're not constantly at risk of losing your audience due to the algorithms. So this goes into the interactive portion here. I would love to get everyone's thoughts on. So think through a brand experience for you and something that in the last 6 months or during the pandemic, anytime during the pandemic, a brand that you became a fan of, that you weren't a fan of before, okay? And think through that cycle of like what initially got your attention and what kept it. And then from there, how'd you then become engaged with it to where you started liking, you started commenting, you started sharing their stuff. So I would love to hear from like 2 to 3 people of just like a brand experience that you had and reverse engineer the success for me. Tell me why they won your attention and how they kept your attention.
Hi, just to answer your question, if that's all right.
Yeah.
I don't know, Sweaty Betty, during the pandemic, do you have Sweaty Betty in the US?
I'm not sure.
It's an activewear brand. So it sells sort of like, gym wear and things, but more focused towards, I guess, the gym mums. But they did loads of live streams and things during the pandemic. So they focused their attention more on well-being as opposed to selling.
Got it. So it was really focused on well-being. And I think that opens brands up to being more lifestyle brands as well. You can do more things than just sell your product. So were they like longer live streams?
Yes, they did different things. They did reels, they did live streams with different individuals that were sort of focused on mental health, wellness, which definitely sort of honed in on their demographic as well.
Do you still follow them?
Yep.
They won you over?
Yep.
That's awesome. That's great. No, that's great. And so that's the question is like, how do you, out of everyone here too, like how do you take that brand experience you have and how do you create that with your target audience? Anyone else? I know it's a lot of pressure speaking up.
I said Zoom. I think Zoom became my new favorite brand because it's just the way of the world now. And the faster you adapt to change, the better you off. And I'm an introvert, so this is a way to meet people and still be safe and socially distanced. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. No, that's great. Anyone else have specific examples or just things that they saw, like a brand that they saw that did really well?
Does Clubhouse count?
Yeah, 100%. Was
Yeah.
Clubhouse marketing though, or was it word of mouth?
Well, Clubhouse, well, the way I joined is because it had, it had an event that I was interested in from the people that I follow. And once I got in, after some time, I think I became addict first, and then I had to cut down. What attracted me to it is that, yes, now we have like so many podcasts and all of that, and that's great. But this way, you almost have all different podcasts in one place, right? And you can, I like the flexibility of it, that I can control, like, when do I want to listen, who do I want to listen, what conversation, what topic interests me, that I can join and I can leave if I don't like, and no one will know, no one cares. And things of that nature. Also, learning about so many different topics, learning about different companies, different products, and also getting the knowledge that interests me, to help, I don't know, me as a employee, me as the, building my own business, or me personally.
Got it. And I think Clubhouse did a really good job of qualifying people. It created exclusivity in a way to where a lot of people wanted to join, even if they didn't like it, because you had to qualify in order to get there. It made people feel like, in a world where everything is accessible, I don't have access to this, and it's playing hard to get with me. And so it almost like it dictated your relationship with it before you even joined, because you're like, all right, I had to earn the right to be here. Well, I know I'm going to enjoy it. I know I'm going to appreciate it. And I think they did a good job by not even doing as much marketing, but just how their brand had the exclusivity aspect to it.
Yeah, it's pretty much word of the mouth, or through, some specific events, as you mentioned.
Right. And here's the thing to also look at too, is I'm sure there was what I call contrived social proof with Clubhouse. And what this is, and this is what we've done with brands before too. Don't just launch your product and hope people talk about it. Launch your product and get your 50 early adopters, make them ambassadors, give them equities, whatever, and say, all right, your only requirement is, I want you to make this look as authentic and native as possible. I want you to shout out our brand. So rather than saying, I love Clubhouse and tagging Clubhouse, what I want you to do is, I want you to say, man, this app is crazy. And someone say, what app? You're like, Clubhouse. Because you just created like an authentic exchange endorsement. Too often, we're all used to like seeing these endorsements that seem super obvious that they were paid to do it. But we're seeing more like contrived social proof, shaky videos for testimonials. And what a lot of people don't get is those are planned. Like, those aren't natural. Brands are getting better at making their testimonials look natural. And this is where I advise the brands I work with, like, don't have us shoot the video testimonials. Have them do it on their phone. Make it look rough and chaotic, because people aren't going to question, wait, was that real? Anyone who's doing a testimonial now, it's obvious that like the brand asked them to do it. Like, I equate it to like a hostage video. Like, it's like they're being told, like, or that you best believe like they're going to say something good about the brand, because the brand is the one that's recording the video. Anybody else, any brand experiences you want to share?
Hi, I'm Abby. I can say that Ascender is definitely a brand that I discovered. I think I discovered them in February, but what kept my attention with Ascender is that they put out really helpful workshops every week. And now I save that like Thursday time from 4 to 5 for these Ascender videos or workshops, because I feel like they're very helpful. And I originally started getting their newsletters and I was like, oh, what is this? Like, let me just unsubscribe. But then it caught my attention. I was like, oh, I'm interested in these workshops. And then slowly over time, I've become very loyal and I show up every week. It's a good job.
That's great. That's great to know. Right, Anya, right, Ben?
Love to hear it.
Right. Well, I think part of it too is like, it takes time. Like I had probably 60 videos get 20 to 50 views until I got one that got 1,000. Then I had 30 get 1,000 before I hit my first 100,000. So like so many brands just want to like, all right, like we tried it, it didn't work. And then, no, you didn't. Like, did you give it a year? Did you give it 2 years? And you cannot survive without brand anyway. So it's like, you need some sort of aspect to that seems like I'm investing in this, because everyone is just used to the same thing over and over again. Here's the brand, they're going to pretend like they care, and then they're going to be gone. So like Ascender consistently investing in these, like it shows, like they care about their target audience. Cool. All right, all good feedback. Thanks everyone who shared. This is kind of my 4 quadrants of brand building here. And I didn't put a bunch in here because I didn't want to come off too cynical on influencers. But here's really how I see it. There's when you have like the level of unknown to being famous, and from being superficial to having substance. So if you know Prince EA does like really like impactful like movies of like short films almost, and he has like motivational messaging in them. And he's very good. He has a ton of substance and he has like 20 million followers. So I put someone like him here, like motivational speakers, people who educate you, tech reviewers, etc. Like they're in this quadrant. Then you have the super famous, but superficial. And you have like the Kylie Jenners of the world, not offering much substance, but they're there, they exist, they're nice to look at, they're selling things. And then here, like, well, there was no one that was, I wasn't going to call someone out for being superficial. It's unknown because it'd probably be someone that I know. And that wouldn't be good. And then like, you have like, this is some random dude who's just like a professor, has a ton of substance and is unknown. So the question you want to ask yourself is, all right, how do I get here? Like, this is the goal. How do I, and I'm not necessarily famous, but like audience, like maybe you're here. You have people that know that your brand exists. It adds substance. It's here. Okay. Well, what I would say sometimes is you may have to start in the socially relevant, superficial, slightly clickbaity crowd to get attention. You never want to sacrifice, you never want to sell your soul. You want to sacrifice who you are. But if you just come out of the gate, just doing things like all message, all message, all message, if people aren't paying attention to your message, it doesn't matter how good your message is. So you have to find a way to kind of make it consumable first. And then as you make it consumable and people start to consume it more, it becomes easier and easier to just focus on substance. But people aren't immediately attracted to substance, unfortunately. I wish the internet was different. But let's be honest about it. People aren't attracted to things that just have substance. And I'm not saying you need to be, incredibly superficial, but rather than you just talking about, I don't know, something that's going on in the world today, you may need to use a socially relevant example that makes people care about it. Rather than you just giving a motivational speech, you may need to do it on a rooftop. Rather than you just saying, hey, hire me as a consultant, you may need to do something interesting that seems like a music video. So just realize like there is an element to social media that we can't change, like consumption habits have been defined, and this is the standard. It is, it's a standard. And people like Prince EA have developed an audience by doing things that are super consumable. So my point with all of this isn't like sell out, it's understand the internet and how it works and be able to play the game while still staying true to who you are. This is probably if I were to ever be critical of other marketing agencies, it would be that I think a lot of them take advantage of small businesses by saying they're doing marketing, but they're just doing. You can pick up anyone off the street, anyone in any room, and you could say, all right, hey, market this for me. And be like, all right, Jordan, I'm going to have you sit in this chair. I'm going to put a camera in front of you, and I'm going to say, talk about your product. Great. Do you know how many marketing agencies, like that's their answer? Like, hey, we're going to do a video for you. It's like, all right, cool. We're going to sit you in this chair and we're going to ask you questions about your product. And then we're going to do some very obvious corporate B-roll over top of it. That's not marketing. That's just doing. Anyone can come up with that idea. If you're paying for a marketing agency to do that for you, you're essentially wasting your money. There's marketing agencies who are like straight up like, hey, let me run your social media page, $750 a month. Guess what? You're losing your money. You're wasting it because what they are doing isn't going to be authentic. They're going to be disconnected from the brand. They need to come up with a way to be strategic in developing attention. Here's a good example of this. Over the pandemic, we as an agency volunteered to work with a few brands, a few small businesses, and we just offered them marketing for free. And we worked with a local ice cream shop. It was a 21-year-old entrepreneur on the north side. And you know, he started an ice cream shop right before the pandemic hit. And as things are starting to let up here, you know, and it's getting warmer, you know, COVID's still a thing. So what we did with him was we said, we're going to create a cool marketing collab with your ice cream shop. Because if anyone's ever watched Curb Your Enthusiasm, Larry David gets a sandwich named after him. Okay. And it's like a huge deal. All these celebrities are getting sandwiches named after them. So I saw that episode and I'm like, well, wait, people would love to have an ice cream flavor named after them. So we found a way to get influencer marketing for this kid's ice cream brand by going to Taylor Gang and getting two of the members of Taylor Gang to get ice cream flavors named after them. Didn't have to pay for it. It was something that they wanted to do, and it's going to bring a ton of awareness and marketing for him. It's a natural way to be creative to get attention. That's what marketing is. Marketing is finding creative ways to get attention. I was watching something on Andy Warhol, and one of the quotes that jumped out to me was cause a scene. Like that's what Andy Warhol was good at. And that's what marketing is. It's like causing a scene, figuring out how to get people to look like, wait, what is that? What's going on? There's too many marketing people out here who are saying, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to post on your social media 4 times a week. We're going to do a video of you sitting at a desk. I'm like, that's not marketing. Anyone can come up with that idea. You have to be creative. Just how an artist, anyone could say like, all right, I'm going to get on this canvas and I'm going to paint this. It's like, all right, cool. I don't need any sort of like art talent to do that. But creating something that no one's ever seen before, they have a unique connection with, that's art. It's the same thing with marketing. Marketing is creativity and it's amplification. It's figuring out creative ways to bring attention and then from there, figuring out how to amplify it. Doesn't matter how good your content is if no one is paying attention to it. You have to solve the issue of how do I win attention? How do I get people to pay attention to what I'm doing? That is the number one thing you have to solve before you figure anything else out. And then the worst strategy in the world is just posting and hoping. Social media is a focus group. You can test everything. If you want to look on a large scale, what a lot of big brands are doing now. So, you know, they're still running TV commercials. Whatever, you know, they may be seeing a return in that, but what they realized was, I don't need to just run a TV commercial and like hope that people think it's good. Like I'm sure over the past few years, there have been Super Bowl commercials and people are like, wait, why did they approve that? Like that was terrible. People hate that. So what they started doing, these big brands like Pepsi, they would make different versions of their commercial and then they would test it on social media and they'd run it to micro audiences and essentially use social media as a focus group. And the tagline or the commercial that performs the best, people like the most, they would then make that their commercial that they would put on TV. So they would spend a couple $1,000s to test it in smaller audiences. And then they knew, all right, here's what the bigger audience is going to like. With the alcohol brand that we worked with recently, we're working on developing a tagline for them. And I did the same thing. I tested all 5 taglines that we liked and ran ads to specific target audiences who weren't even in the area where they're going to be selling the alcohol. And we figured out based through their click-through rate and their engagement rate which taglines they like the best, because social media is a focus group. Doesn't matter what I like, doesn't matter what any of you like. All that matters is what the audience is going to like. So why not use it as a focus group? With that as well, give people free importance. People love to like put that they're an ambassador in their bio, or that they have a discount code, or when like events were a thing, they love to like just have a lanyard that said VIP. Use that to your advantage. Don't just give it to anybody, but realize people want to feel important. The last thing is the algorithms are no longer in your favor. Algorithms are dictated by economics. Facebook's stock price, when it goes low, they reduce the organic reach on Facebook's platform. Why? Because they want more people to buy ads. TikTok right now is the only true, and maybe LinkedIn sometimes, the only true algorithm that is in your favor. And the other ones get worse and worse every day. Because when you get to a point where essentially like Facebook owns this monopoly with Instagram, where it doesn't matter what they do, people are going to use the platform. So they don't need to give you any sort of organic reach. They know people are going to pay for it. Twitter is now having super followers. So, there's going to be a version of paying for Twitter. TikTok's the place to be. LinkedIn's the place to be. But realize, like, if you don't start now, it's only going to get harder for you. Wanted to end 10 minutes early. So if we had Q&A, we could go through it.
Alrighty, feel free, if you have questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask away. Any questions?
Takes a second for the first person usually.
I have a question. Shannon here.
Hi, Shannon.
So a question on just having the resources to post on social media. I think a lot of places I've worked at, it seems like social media kind of gets put down on the lower end, or even content in general. So what would you recommend for businesses that, you might have all these great ideas, strategies, visions for really improving your brand, but you're really just stuck on having that time to even dedicate to posting all the time, or implementing some of these content strategies and social media strategies?
Yeah, here's what I do. I will take the first Sunday of each month and I will dedicate 3 to 4 hours of brainstorming all of my content. And then I will then take one other Sunday, either the week or the week after. I'll pick out 6 to 7 different outfits and I'll shoot all of that content. And then I'll spend the next few weeks, whenever I get a second, editing it. Because then from there, like it's one train of thought. It's thinking about it, it's shooting it, and then from there on out, it's just a matter of editing it. So when you batch content and you give yourself time, you're not as stressed about doing it. It's not as much of a chore. You're not stressing out over it because you have a lot of time to edit it. And that way, like, you create more evergreen content. So you're not, if you feel like you're struggling for the time to do it, don't focus on things that are very timely. You're like, I need to release this right away. Focus on things that are going to be evergreen. Find which questions people are asking about your industry. A good tool here I'll share, which really helps. I don't use it as much because I've just been creating content for so long, is Answer the Public. So I can go here and I can type in real estate. And this will have everything you need to be able to create content. Here's every question people are asking about real estate. Why real estate investment? Can real estate make you rich? Which real estate agent? Every single question anyone's asking about real estate is on here. Here's where you can start. And just take 6 of these, pick one day, pick a few different outfits, get a $30 ring light in your iPhone and a $10 mic, and pick 6 topics, shoot it, and then spend 2 or 3 months just editing your content. And then from there, what you can do is, in each outfit, take a picture, turn it into a graphic, turn one of your quotes from that video into a graphic. Use user-generated content, get people to send in a video of how they would answer that question. So I think it's just a matter of like becoming resourceful. It's hard, but it's just more about being resourceful especially when you're at a company where people don't get social media. Trust me, I get it. Like, I worked at a huge law firm and they did not they did not believe in social media. And what I always had to do was I had to take as much of their thinking out of it as possible. And I had to put it in terms of things that they understood in the business world. And it doesn't get easy. Marketing people have the toughest jobs in the world because you have to do all this stuff that everybody else gets to see. And you also have to fight everybody internally to get what you want. And then what happens is once you do a good job, the CEOs and everybody else want to step in and they're like, hey, I think I have an opinion on what we should post on Facebook. And it's like, you didn't want us to use Facebook. This happens. I can't tell you how many times this happens with companies I work with. So I know that I'm going on a rant here, but that's, I hope I answer your question in somewhat. I know it's more complicated than that.
We have a couple of questions in the chat box. So one coming from Martina. Do you have any thoughts on distinguishing personal brand versus company names, versus your company names?
Yeah, I'll show you kind of how we do it. So my personal brand exists for me to connect with marketing people. Okay, that is why I have a personal brand. I want marketing people who want to build their brands, I want them to follow me. And so it's very important for me to do that. And so, I'll release content on digital role models. Here's why you should hear what social media advice you should take, etc. And then you see, my goal was to be a content creator. I want people to follow me to learn more about marketing. My goal isn't to have a lot of followers or a ton of shares or engagement. My goal is for people to want to hire my company or to be able to have more of an impact. Then when you look at my company, we're not trying to have a huge following on our page. Our goal is to have a good looking feed and to showcase our portfolio. That is the main goal, because I don't think anyone, there's not gonna be thousands of people who wanna follow an agency. And I honestly don't wanna turn our agency page in a way to where we generate thousands of followers. So I use my own personal brand to talk about the things I care about and the things that I wanna have an impact with. And then any portfolio, any work goes on the work page.
Thank you, Jordan. We have a really good question here coming from Abby. It says, how should businesses tailor their content for different platforms? As a follow-up, how do you decide which platform to post your content in? So we're talking about Instagram versus TikTok or LinkedIn.
Yeah, so part of it's understanding consumption habits. Right now, TikTok's changing everything because it's so easy to watch video. It's just scrollable, you watch a video. All you can do is watch the video. And so what I've realized is that one, this has now changed how people are viewing videos on other platforms. People aren't watching videos as much on LinkedIn and Twitter because it's so easy on TikTok. But if you are going to watch it on Instagram or Twitter, somewhere else, it better be vertical format. So it's part of it's understanding consumption habits, but also the audiences that are on there. So I may do a LinkedIn post on here's how your brand can appeal to Gen Z. And then I'll do a TikTok post on here's how brands are appealing to Gen Z, because Gen Z's on TikTok, they're not on LinkedIn as much. So I'll take the same topic and I'll cater it to different audiences. Then on Instagram, I'll say, here's how you can build your brand for Gen Z as a local creative, whatever. So I'll take the same topic and I'll break it down and I'll sit in the same chair and do 3 different versions of the video. So that's the way to do it, is just know your audience, know the consumption habits, and then from there being able to repurpose it.
Another question, Jordan. So what's your favorite social media distributing content platform? And also what's your favorite editing app tool for videos?
Yeah, there's a couple that are good. I think Later's really good because it helps you to plan your feeds out. Sked Social, I really like a lot. And then there's the ones that are always everyone uses, like Hootsuite and Sprout Social, etc. I like Later because the interface is easiest, and I think Ben likes Later too. We use Adobe Premiere, we use After Effects, we use everything. Any other last questions?
Yeah, can I ask you though, are you using those on your phone? Are you doing some video on a proper camera and setup and then taking it to a computer and using Premiere and After Effects, or is there stuff on a phone that you use for just quickie content creation?
Yeah, good question. So, I have a video team, so it helps me, they have cameras and they can edit, but on TikTok, I realized that I I don't want to have highly produced videos, because if it seems too highly produced, it's like that shaky video effect. Like people don't want it to seem highly produced. So I bought a ring light and I bought a mic for my phone, and I'll just do that on my phone.
And then you edit it in the app.
Yeah, then you just add in the app. But Premiere Rush is really good, like the Premiere version for your phone. Like I use that, it's just as good.
Okay, cool.
And then with that, is Motion Array. Motion Array is awesome because they have a ton of like animation templates, to where like someone will think you're an animator, but you really just use one of their animation templates. I think it's $250 for the year, but it's so worth it because it can do any type of animation you want. It makes your videos look so professional.
I call it again, the animation app.
Motion Array.
Motion Array.
I'll
Okay,
type it in here.
All righty. Well, this was, it's 5 o'clock on the dot. So, give it a shot to Jordon for all of the wonderful insights, everything you got, examples, tools, concepts that you need to think about now. We'll have the recording available to you on social media. But thank you so much, Jordon, for this hour of a lot of really great, tangible strategies that all of you that are here today can really practice already tomorrow. Follow Jordon on social media, follow us, tell us, what you liked about today's session, and continue learning with Ascender. See you next time. Thank you, everybody.